Today, I'm heading back to London from Cincinnati, and I'll be seeing British Airways in a whole new light, and not just because it's an overnight flight. Join me as I fly BA Club World and discover a somewhat underwhelming, watered-down experience. Good afternoon from Cincinnati in Ohio, / Kentucky, where unfortunately today I have to head back to London and leave this rather cool city behind. Now I am going to be flying once again on British Airways in their Club World cabin. So I'm going to make my way to the airport and let's see how we get on today. Okay, I've made it to Cincinnati Airport, and tonight we're flying on a British Airways 787-800 series, which basically means I've got the old style Club World cabin where, you know, the business class seats are facing backwards. It's a little bit dated, but let's see how it is. While Cincinnati Airport is known as a major cargo hub, it does have a passenger terminal, and to be honest, I wasn't expecting it to be so large. However, as night fell, the airport grew noticeably quieter, and after wandering around aimlessly for a while, it suddenly dawned on me that something important was missing. I've been wandering around for about an hour trying to find a lounge that will accept British Airways customers, and there doesn't appear to be one. There's a Delta lounge for all the SkyTeam airlines, but there's nothing for British Airways. That can't be right, can it? Have I got that wrong? If you know of a lounge that you can go in as a British Airways customer at Cincinnati Airport, please let me know, because I'm dying to find out. Seeing as no lounge would take British Airways business class customers, I headed to the central food court where I was spoilt for choice with gourmet delights. After dining on lukewarm chicken and realising my flight was delayed, having no lounge access meant I had no choice but to return to my favourite seat near the gate and wait for my plane. The plane is here, thank God. Not long now, they're going to turn it around, we can get on board and get on our way back home to London. Yes. Welcome aboard this 7-year-old Boeing 787-800 series Dreamliner, the smallest of the Dreamliner family. Today's aircraft has no first-class cabin, so the 35 business class seats take pride of place at the front. These seats are arranged in a 232 configuration, with forward-facing aisle seats and rear-facing window and centre seats. I'm seated in 1K, a rear-facing window seat, and as you can see, the design feels rather dated compared to other newer, more modern business class offerings. The carry-on storage is located in the overhead bins above the seats. However, these older business class seats reveal a significant design flaw. For the window passenger to access the aisle, they must navigate past the footrest of the forward-facing passenger in the next row. While this setup may seem manageable at first, it becomes a real challenge when the forward-facing passenger is in the lie-flat position. Meaning, if you're by the window, you're left awkwardly climbing over their feet, trying not to disturb or wake them. Once settled into your seat, you're provided with bedding, a pillow, a drink and a menu, perfect for enjoying a nightcap and getting some well-deserved rest. The drinks menu is fairly extensive, while the onboard dinner is more of a supper, featuring lighter options. This seems to reflect passenger preferences, as most people prefer something light before bed. It's worth noting that this isn't one of the catering missteps I highlighted in my previous first-class flight with BA. It feels more intentional and aligned with passenger needs. And with the witty safety demo complete, it was time to dim the cabin lights for the short taxi out to runway 27 for our departure back to London. And I must say, whilst I'm not a fan of the rear-facing seat, hammering down the runway backwards is still quite a novelty for me. Back in the cabin, there's another drawback to the older design, and that's the close proximity of the forward and rear facing seats. With very little privacy, passengers will most likely keep the screen divider up unless travelling with a companion. To me, this setup makes the seat feel a little enclosed and cramped, and I can't wait for BA to refresh these. Oh, and in case you're wondering, my seat neighbour was kind enough to let me lower the divider for filming purposes. Tonight's cabin service started promptly, and I found myself torn between two choices, the lobster macaroni or the cheese board. Thankfully, the cabin crew kindly bought me both, and while it defeated the idea of having a lighter meal, I was glad to try both options. The cheese and biscuits are a safe classic choice, but the lobster macaroni fell short in my opinion. Unfortunately, it suffered from the common pasta on planes issue, turning out to be a bit stodgy and lacking in flavour. Eating so much before bed probably wasn't the best idea, so when the lights were switched off I decided to explore the in-flight entertainment instead. Controlled by the attached remote, the IFE on today's flight was fairly standard. Unfortunately, both the interface and visuals mirrored the cabin's overall feel, clunky, tired and a bit dated. The selection of films, games, music and TV was passable, neither the worst nor the best. However, having experienced a more modern premium IFE in other cabins, the difference was quite noticeable. Wanting to make the most of the overnight flight, I decided it was probably a good idea to get some sleep before landing back in the UK. So I moved my seat to the lie flat position and got comfy. These older style business class seats actually have a lot of legroom, and as you all know, being short means legroom isn't usually an issue for me, but I think even taller passengers would find the legroom sufficient. As I've already mentioned, once the seat is in the lie flat mode, manoeuvring becomes a bit tricky. Trying to get out of your seat and over the forward-facing sleeping passenger in the next row feels more like tackling an obstacle course. I think I'll just stay put for now. Being gently awoken by the proper use of the controlled window blinds is a nice touch, and with under 2 hours left to fly, the smell of breakfast wafted through the cabin. Still stuffed from the cheese binge earlier, I decided that orange and coffee was the breakfast of champions this morning, forgoing any food. Although fruit, muesli and a breakfast ciabatta were available, though it didn't seem like many passengers were partaking this morning. Now that the window blinds were back under passenger control, it's time to take a closer look at a few details in the natural light. The seat appears relatively tidy, with the screen neatly folding away above the tray table. However, even in daylight, the divider still gives this seat a noticeably more enclosed feel. The tray table unfolds smoothly from a flat upright position and slides towards the passenger. It's reasonably sized and practical for most needs. Under the tray table you'll find a plug and a USB port. While functional, these features are starting to show their age on this aircraft. At the base of the seat console is a drawer that contains the headphones and a complimentary Amenity Kit by the White Company. The Amenity Kit is a nice touch, and it includes all the traditional standard offerings you'd expect. Today's flight was a fairly standard overnight service for British Airways, taking about 6 hours 55 minutes to cover the 3,444 nautical miles. The crew, as always, were friendly and engaging, building a good rapport with many of the passengers. And while there wasn't anything particularly bad about the experience, the lack of an organised check-in area with no lounge access and the use of an older aircraft did leave the impression that this route feels a bit overlooked, and it was a little bit underwhelming for a business class flight. Perhaps this is due to low demand or insufficient profitability on the route, but whatever the reason, it does highlight how the value of a British Airways experience can feel diminished on their lesser routes, like Cincinnati to London for example. So what do you think? Are there routes where other airlines seem to cut corners or pay less attention to detail? Share your thoughts in the comments and I'll see if we can put them to the test in future episodes. Thank you for watching today's show and joining me on my journey back from Cincinnati. I hope you enjoyed coming along for the ride. If you liked this video, be sure to check out some of my other content, and I can't wait to see you all on the next adventure. Until then, stay safe and embrace the journey.